What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a quick preview of the Sundered Doctrine dungeon coming to Destiny 2 this week. So Bungie have now posted a trailer for the dungeon. That means we get a first look at it. On top of that though, in this video, we're going to get a preview of a bunch of the rewards for the dungeon. So we have a good sense of what the weapon pool is going to be, a preview of the new armor, of course the title, additional cosmetic rewards, there are a handful of interesting emblems, and of course the exotic weapon, which funnily enough is the weapon that we know the most about, whereas normally it would be the most secretive thing. So we get a full look at it, all of the perks, the catalyst, and a few other things to round up in the video. So guys, as always, I hope you find this one useful. Spoiler alerts are naturally necessary here if you don't want to see any of this stuff ahead of time. Without further delay though, now let's get into it. And so initially, Bungie did post a trailer for the new dungeon, showing off Rulk's pyramid ship once again on Savathun's throne world. So essentially, we're going to be able to explore new parts of the ship. We see a new boss right here, kind of looks like a scion infused with strand energy. That may or may not be a thing, but this is what the boss looks like nonetheless. I'm sure symbols will play into this quite a lot, just like what we saw with the Vow of Disciple. And the general visual theme ties in with that quite a lot as well. Obviously, the pyramid ship is the pyramid ship, so there's only so much variation there.
Play a game with me, Guardian. Imagine yourself among the dread. All these secrets, all these hidden passages. This ship's a tricksy one.
Interestingly though, like we see on the Relic or the Enclave on Mars, where the hidden are present, it would appear that Ikora's hidden will also be inside of the dungeon. I guess, if they're still around on the throne world following up leads or whatever, it makes sense that they will have been led into the dungeon. So there's some interesting story components to this. And separate from that, there will be a disabled loot list for the dungeon in contest mode as always. So for the moment, that only includes a couple of items, but Bungie have said they will expand that list all the way up to the end of the weekend when contest finishes. So if you're heading in and you're curious about that, I'll link the list down below. Here though, let's start to talk about rewards just a little bit. In terms of the legendary weapons, they are currently completely classified, so we don't know what the archetypes will be, the perk rolls, or even the visuals, but as shared by Bungie Leaks and Destiny Bulletin here, the weapon models have been extracted from the game files, so we get a 3D preview of them, and it will include a trace rifle, scout rifle, hand cannon, and shotgun as dungeon weapons this time around. Otherwise, that's essentially all we know about the legendary loot pool, and we'll have to hold on for further details on stats and perks. We do, however, know a bit about the dungeon exotic though, so we can see a full preview of the exotic ornament for the weapon in the game via the collections. Certainly appears to be a pretty cool weapon, and we know that it's called Finality's Auger. This will be a solar linear fusion rifle. It is a heavy weapon. And for the exotic perks, firstly, there is Ruin Scribe's Forge, where we can activate the alternate weapon action to fire a special projectile that deploys a Ruin Scribe turret. This projectile costs 3 ammo to fire, and if we aim the projectile skyward, it'll provide the clearest line of sight for the turret, which will automatically shoot at nearby targets. So almost reminds me a little bit of the Telesto rework this episode, although the behavior will be quite different. On top of that though, it has Ruin Scribe's Beacon, and while a Ruin Scribe turret is deployed, the weapon can paint targets with its laser projectiles. The turret prioritizes painted targets and fires more powerful munitions at them, but we can again use the alternate weapon action to swap between normal fire and laser fire modes. So yeah, it appears to be quite a unique weapon really. And based on how this normally works, it will be a random drop at the end of the dungeon, and typically we see triumphs that can be completed inside of the dungeon, which will increase that drop rate. We can also see its catalyst. This will probably be earned in a similar way to how we got the Vesper's Host catalyst for Icebreaker, through secrets and objectives inside of the activity, but the catalyst will simply provide bait and switch, where we can deal damage with all equipped weapons within a short time to give this weapon a damage boost. And depending on how long the turret lasts for, it could be interesting to see whether we could fire that and then actually proc bait and switch while it's still up and sort of use it in that way. I guess we'll find out. Either way, Dungeon Exotic appears to be looking pretty cool. Now, when it comes to armor, we have some very scanty previews right here, shared by Bungie Leaks, and these come from Kanye for King on Twitter. So firstly, we have the Hunter right here. I'm guessing these are full armor models. That looks pretty interesting. Also, the Titan, quite a similar armor set overall, really. There are some similarities to Vow of Disciple armor, but also elements which are similar to the Dread enemies. And finally, here is the Warlock, which has sort of 50-50 vibes. Kind of similar to the Salvation's Edge armor. The Warlock actually looks a bit different to the others. I'm not sure if that's shader or what, but that's a quick preview. Obviously, we'll get a much better look in-game when we actually start picking the stuff up. Other rewards, though, include the new title, and the title will be called Delver. We can see the icon for it with a hive worm right there. That's also the badge image for the dungeon, so we can see that on screen as well. And there'll be at least a couple of bonus cosmetic drops, so we know about 3 different emblems. The first one is called Lasterasia, and that's a very Vow of the Disciple styled emblem. But there's another called Pyramid's Pilot, and that's got the pyramid icon on it. And finally, Unsounded Depths. The creature on that kind of reminds me a little bit of the one that we used to see swimming around on Titan. All of the emblems, though, say that they're acquired through the dungeon, but they don't specify whether they'll be for standard clears, the contest version, or other variations of the dungeon. So we'll have to wait and see what's what on that front. But in terms of the theme, I quite like the callback to Vow of Disciple, Witch Queen, Hive Worms, and Dread all sort of mashed together in this interesting way. So there we go, that is an early preview of the dungeon. As always, I'll keep you posted over the weekend if there are any important things to know about it, including rewards and guides if I'm lucky enough to make enough progress on it. So keep it locked and loaded here. Let us know as well if you're going to be jumping in this week. But if you've enjoyed the video, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. And otherwise, cheers for watching, and I'll catch you guys very soon.
Play a game with me, Guardian. Imagine yourself among the Dread. All these secrets, all these hidden passages. This ship's a tricksy one.